president wants to spy on 200 million Americans without a warrant. Has he read this document, which he was sworn to uphold? Now, I will not have you libel Abraham Lincoln. I don't understand the problem with registering guns. We register cars.
Mark Levine brings you the news the government doesn't want you to know.
Today, an explosive story about connections between white supremacists and Islamic terrorists.
When there's a conflict between Scalia's conservative values and the Constitution of the United States, he throws away the Constitution.
We do have secret prisons. That is not what America's all about.
Let's go to Mark in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good evening, America. Welcome to a very special edition of the Inside Scoop. In Syria today, 14,000 people have already been murdered. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, are missing. Men, women, and children massacred simply because they want to live a free life. And they're being killed by a dictatorship that's simply trying to stay in power. The dictatorship gets arms from Iran and uses them against their own people. Tonight, in a very, very special broadcast, probably for the first time on the Inside Scoop, I have a man who's going to talk to me, who I spoke to actually just yesterday, who is risking his life to have his words said. I don't think that's ever happened in the many years I've done this program. The man, I'm going to call him Majid. I'm not going to use his real name. He is likely to be killed. He is in the Free Syrian Army. He is actually talking to me through the magic of the internet out of Syria. And if he is found, he will be killed. He said to me that he is not so much concerned for his own life as for those of his babies. That's what he calls his children, his babies. Maybe that's the way he translates the word in Arabic. But his English is quite good. And yesterday at my radio studios, at We Act Radio, 1480 AM in Washington, D.C., I had this conversation with this man who I will call Majid. I also had in studio 3 Syrian-American women who are also very brave. I use their first names only, Fatima, Najia, and Rima. I don't use their last names because they also risk death, risk being killed, even in the United States, for talking out about what's going on in Syria. You may know that journalists risk their lives. Even in the worst of the case of Libya, the massacres there, the government, the Gaddafi government, allowed journalists into Libya. Sure, they had minders, and sure, they were told where to go. But in Syria, Western journalists like Anthony Shadid are murdered, massacred, simply for stepping in and trying to tell the story. This is a revolution that likely would never have occurred without modern media, without the internet, without Facebook, without Twitter. And people are fighting and dying so they can be heard. And so I'm going to be playing pretty much the entire hour my interview with Majid and with the 3 Syrian-American women, talking about what is going on in Syria. And then at the end of the broadcast, we'll talk about what the United States can do, and I'll invite you to call in and share your thoughts at 888-488-MARK, 888-488-6275. I failed to mention I'm your host, Mark Levine. This is an issue that concerns me greatly, and I think when you hear from Majid and the others, this will concern you too. Throughout the broadcast, I'll be playing images from Syria, what images we have. Remember that each of these images is smuggled out, and that merely taking these images is a capital offense, just as it is a capital offense for Majid to have talked to me yesterday, and yet he risked his life to come here on the Inside Scoop. Let me play my interview with Rima, Fatima, with Nadia, and in Syria with Majid. Some of these images are graphic, and I just want to be very clear here. What he's going to talk about is some pretty violent things. First of all, let me welcome Fatima and Nadia and Rima, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Scoop. And I believe we have someone in Syria. I don't know what to call you, sir. I don't want to call you by your real name because I want to protect you. Maybe you can ask him what name he'd like to be called by in Arabic. Go ahead and ask him. You're on the air, but that's okay. Just what name?
My name?
No, the name.
No, the name another person. Ask him.
Well,
thanks a lot.
You understand me in English, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to call you by your real name because I fear for your safety. So please give me just a name I can call you by for this interview. You understand? Majid. Okay. Majid, you are right now in Syria, not in Turkey. You're in.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me what you are fighting for.
I'm fighting for my freedom, for my children freedom, for a democracy, civilized country. That's we're fighting for here.
Tell me, if you could, what you've seen, what the Assad government has done.
Yeah, first we have to understand why the revolution in Syria. Everyone knows, for 40 years ago, we controlled by this family, Al-Assad family, and our people getting poorer, hunger, and ignorance day by day. They did not allow us, to keep up with the Damascus regime for a modern world and our lives as a human beings. So we move in this revolution to take our country, to democracy global. We want to be like a free country. We want freedom to our children, to our women. We want to keep our lives,
Please tell me what
my language first.
No. You're doing very good, and I am truly honored just to have you on the radio with me today, and I know what huge risk you are taking, so please be very careful. But tell me, if you would, what you have seen, because the Assad government, as you know, keeps out journalists. They've even shot at journalists. It's very hard for Western journalists to get inside Syria to report on the ground. So tell me what you have seen. Have you seen massacres? Have you seen shooting at civilians? Please tell me what the Assad government has done in the last month.
First, I had my personal experience with this regime, because I'm one of thousands, which we tortured in Damascus, in the Secret Service offices. I don't know how we call it,
You were tortured?
I saw massacres. Yeah, I saw tortures. I saw some people take off their eyes by spoons, by food spoons. I saw them get firing at us exactly like this day before 1 year. And said massacres. This is a very famous day. We lost in that day 120 person. They firing us, they shooting anything move. When they attack some town or some streets, not allowed to open window, to open doors. They're getting inside your homes, they take you out, take your women. If they're not found you, they take your baby. They're hiding your babies till you're surrounded. I saw all of this, I'm one of people, they burn my homes. They burn my house. They take my wife. I stay in Assad prison more than 3 months. They cut my finger, they break my legs, 17 breaks in my right legs. I saw all of this, son of my sister, he killed in front of my eyes by sniper. They did all of these things, and we are trying hard to make shooting some of the regime actions in the street. But they did not allow us. First thing they're looking for our mobile phone. When he catch you, he looking for your mobile phone. If you have something in your mobile, that's mean you will get death. They will kill you if they find that you're shooting anything, tanks or shooting or anything from the regime actions, you will get killed.
And you're in danger right now, just talking to me, yes?
Sorry?
You're in danger because you're talking to me right now.
We are hiding, we move from place to another. Every day, every night, we cannot sleep well, we cannot eat well, we live in fear. We live in fear, 24 hours, 7 days, we live in fear. Actually, I'm not afraid for myself, I'm afraid for my babies. I'm one of the actives, I'm wanted, I don't know how to say, but I'm wanted, and they are looking for me. If they cannot catch me, if they catch my baby, they will not, wait a moment to torture or slaughtered, killed my baby. So we move from place to another every night, every day. We live in fear, actually.
Majid, the United Nations has allowed a few monitors in to Syria, as you know, people who are supposed to watch and supposed to stop the violence, it doesn't seem to be working very well.
No, I'll give you one example. Before yesterday, just 2 days ago, these mountains, they came to Dar'a, the south area of Dar'a, and one of the children, and I'll give you the video, one of the children, he had the flag, and he welcomed the monitors. The sniper killed him in front of eyes, these monitors.
In front of the monitors?
Yeah, we have the video. We have the video,
You'll send it to your friends here in the United States. I'll post it on my website so people can see it. Tell me what you need.
I will send it. This is a video and photos. We have this in front of eyes of the monitors. They killed, he's 12 years old. He's just 12 years old. The sniper shot him at the head.
Majid, tell me what you need from the United States. We are here in Washington. We're here in the nation's capital. Members of Congress can hear this radio show. The president, if he's listening, I don't know that he's listening, but if he's listening, he can turn on the radio right there in the White House and listen to this show. What do you need Americans to do to help you?
Now, first, there's something in America and the free world. This is the human rights. And the human rights, the people of America, they're fighting for human rights. We want them to fight for our lives, not our rights, for our life first. We just the free world, to protect us, to protect our souls from this regime. That's why, we talk to the American people. American people, get suffered for how many years to get to the civilized country and modern country. We won't be like modern country. We dream for our children to a modern and democratic and civilized country. That's why we want these people to help us, to make a pressure for this regime to leave.
What do you need? Do you need sanctions? Do you need arms? Do you need a no-fly zone like happened in Libya? What specifically, if I were to call my member of Congress tomorrow, and I can do that like every American can, what should I ask for? How can the United States help you most?
Free zone.
No-fly zone.
And the safety, crossing path. We want this, we want this immediately. Like me now, I have 5 babies, I hide, sometimes we sleep outside, without homes, without everything. I'm homeless with my baby, We want free zone. We want this safety paths, If we have a free zone, the military, what we call it, a constitution or something, مؤسسة فاطمة. This military, will leave the Assad, but now no one leaves him because they're afraid for their lives, for their family lives. That's where no one leaves the Assad. But if you have this free zone, everyone will leave them, because we know this is, a bloody regime. But if you allowed me just a minute,
Go ahead.
You asked me first. We fight for freedom, Now I remember something for great George Washington when he said once, when somebody take our freedom and speech and opinion, we take like animals to torture us or something like this, We don't want somebody to take our freedom, Malcolm X said, freedom price is death. And now this is what we paid in Syria. We paid our lives, actually day by day, every day we lose 50 or 100, but I don't know why no one cares, No one cares.
Let me be very clear. Let me help you understand why the United States has not done enough yet. And let me be very clear. I have called on the president for many months now, since 2011. I have been calling on Barack Obama and the Congress to help the Syrian resistance, to help with arms, to help with sanctions, to help with a no-fly zone. I fully support your cause, as I supported the cause of the rebels in Libya. But I have to tell you, the fear in Washington, and it's not my fear, but it's the fear of many politicians, is that in Syria, that there will be civil war, that the Alawite minority in Syria is in control now, and that if the rebels take control, there'll be a religious war. Washington is afraid of radical Muslim terrorists like Al-Qaeda. What can you say to assure the politicians in Washington that if they help you, that you will be true, free, independent, democratic Syria, and you won't have your own control and your own killings just like Assad does?
This is just illusions. This is just illusions. There is no civil war in Syria. And I will assure you that because we know our history. 40 years ago, without al-Assad, Syria lives in peace. Syria live in peace. There is nothing for civil war. This is what a regime want to deliver to the world. They want to say, if I go, if you move me from my chair, there will be a civil war.
Chaos, yes, they
just
say.
Illusion. There is nothing, Syria likes spring, spring beauty because this is so many colors, by flowers. Syria just like that, Before al-Assad, we have one Christian ruled us. His name Fars al-Khuli. Fars al-Khuli, yeah, he's a Christian, he ruled us. And we are happy to have him, to have him that time.
So you support religious freedom and democracy and rights for women and everyone having equality and freedom in Syria?
Of course, no one controlled our street, No one controlled our street. We are free people, We love freedom, We want Syria for all. We want our president to stop in the red signal on the street. We want a Christian ruled us for years after he come another from Druze after come a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
The right one ruled us. We don't care, about his religion, his stole, his habits, what he believes, what he don't believe. We want somebody respect the law. We want a law country, law for everyone and above everyone. That's what we want.
Majid, how much time do you have with me? I don't want to make you take any unnecessary risks. I don't know whether if talking to me too long is a problem. How much time do you have? We have many women here who can certainly defend the cause as well. Do you have time to talk more, or is that all you have?
Or if you like, you can listen.
You
can listen to us. If you like to stay and listen to what we're going to say as well.
Or you can join in. I realize this is really a wonderful thing,
yes.
The technology, to have you speak directly. And I have to tell you, Majid, my heart goes out to you and to your family and to all the people of Syria. And I have worked very hard to support your cause, and I'm just one voice, but I'm doing my best to encourage people, because to me, there's no excuse ever for a leader to mow down, to shoot down innocent people the way that Assad has done. And I want to help you.
Actually, it's honor for me to have me tonight with you. And, actually, I think I'm safe tonight.
Okay. Well,
no one knows. Actually, no one knows, I'm far from
good.
More than...
Don't tell me. I want you to, because I know how dangerous it is. Let me go to some of the people I have here. I have Fatima. Tell me how you know. Oh, it's Naja, excuse me. Sorry. I have three women in the studio, and they're all anxious to share. Tell me, Nadia, how you found Majid and what you know about his situation.
It's actually through other friends, and Fatima is in direct talking to him constantly, and other activists as well. And we have a very strong group of people here in the U.S. They're all Syrian Americans, and they're trying to clarify the picture about what's going on in Syria, inside Syria, because what the Assad has been trying to do all these months, lying about the facts that there is an Arab Spring in the Middle East. The fact is that the Syrian people are fed up with the Syrian regime right now, and they want him to go away completely. Him and his thugs, they need to go away.
Tell me, and any of you are welcome to join in, Fatima, Rima, or Naja, you can welcome to tell me just some of the stories. I heard Majid tell me about a 12-year-old talking to the monitors, shot dead by a sniper in front of the monitor's eyes. People having their eyes pulled out by spoons. There's some gruesome facts, but they're important to say because people need to understand this isn't a minor skirmish. These aren't a few people. This isn't a small disagreement. This is some major war crimes going on. Tell me what you know.
As far as I know, it's constantly every single day. They're tortured. People are in prison. We have actually at least 70 to 80,000 lives that we don't know what happened to them. Missing. That's plus confirmed 14,000 so far for the last 14 months. United States.
So 14,000 dead.
Yeah.
And 70 to 80,000 who are missing.
We don't know.
Could be dead. Could be in prison.
Right. And we do have sometimes they find by accident like a grave, like a
mass grave.
Mm-hmm. And it's very, I mean, for a human being, you're in the 21st century. We can't imagine what kind of a human being would kill another human being in that brutal way. And why would they do all this stuff for their own people? Because they're calling for a freedom.
Assad is doing it because he wants to stay in power.
Yeah.
And so he will kill or do whatever he needs to do to stay in power.
It's not only him, it's the people surrounding him, his supporters, and they all criminals. They all needed to be brought to judgment
justice.
And justice.
So what can America do? We do have sanctions against Syria now. I read in the Washington Post just a couple days ago that the Syrian government is running out of money. Are sanctions going to work?
The Syrians are asking the international community not to repeat the same mistake that was made during the Balkan atrocities that lasted 3 years before the Security Council decided to intervene militarily.
Right, what happened in the Balkans, and I remember this.
Remember?
I do. It was in the 1990s, and the United Nations actually declared safe zones throughout the former Yugoslavia, where they said people would be safe and they wouldn't be killed. And I think we've got a problem with our Skype connection. We may have lost Majid.
That's okay.
But hopefully he's safe, and hopefully he can come back and talk with us a little bit further. What I was saying is that in the 1990s there were supposed safe zones, and people went in this case it was the Serbians, went in and massacred thousands of innocent people who were supposed to be in these safe zones. And so I completely agree with you. I supported our action in Bosnia and Kosovo as well. And I think we've been way too slow, frankly, to get involved.
We don't want to wait and repeat the same mistake, because if we want to wait too long, are we waiting for 100 or 200,000 of Syrian citizens to be killed till we decide to do something about it? We can't just wait too long. The Syrians are asking the Security Council to take firm action on Syria by creating a buffer zone, followed by a no-fly zone to allow defected soldiers and civilians to find a safe haven from Assad's thugs.
So, Fatima, let me ask you, what do you think? Fatima.
Okay, I know.
They need to chat about something. Okay.
No, she wants me to translate if she.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. If you have trouble understanding,
yes, I understand, but I need somebody translate.
That's fine. Nadia can translate for you.
Okay.
That's fine.
Go ahead. No.
My question is, Fatima, before we get to what we can do to help the situation, I want people just to know how bad it is, because in Libya we had some press. We could actually see people, the bombs and so forth. There's much less in Syria because, let's face it, Assad is trying to keep out journalists. So just tell me what you've heard. Obviously, don't give me names. I don't want names because I don't want anyone to get harmed. But just what you have heard from people you know, shootings, torture, whatever it is, give me the details so that my listeners know exactly what's going on in Syria.
How many people were there?
Maybe do it sentence by sentence so that we get it.
Fatima is mentioning this is one of the most horrible stories that she ever heard from them. The eyewitnesses were telling her that there were two little girls, one is 10 years old and one is 14, and they were raped by so many thugs. And one of them got pregnant, the 10 years old, and their father, in the Middle East, being raped, a girl getting raped, it's a very shameful thing. So he had to escape to another country to protect those girls because one of them was pregnant and she was only 10 years old.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. 6 years old, the child was raped in front of his father, a boy. In front of his father by how many? Six times. Okay. Every time the father passed out, they put some water and wake him up to see his son getting suffered again. At the end, the boy he died, passed away.
Of course.
Another story was Homs.
Yes, in Homs. Yeah. A mother and a father. 1-year-old son. Mm-hmm. They took the balcony, the mother and the father to the balcony. Okay. They threw the little kid who's only the baby 1-year-old from the balcony. What floor? Fourth floor. And then they killed the mother and the father after they made sure they witnessed the death of their own child.
And why are these particular civilians being killed? Why this cruelty to the child? Did they march in the streets demanding freedom? Why did they do these awful things to these young children?
You know what?
Getting killed لأنه طلعوا بالمظاهرات, or just because they go and attack them?
No, بس لأنه عم يطلعوا مظاهرات.
Okay. These people, just because they go in peaceful demonstrations, just because they're calling for their freedom, the least thing they're calling for is just the freedom and democracy. What's so big deal about that to torture and kill innocent children or rape these girls?
It's awful. By the way, we have Majid back with us
Awesome.
on the line, and another caller as well. I don't know who that is, but I just added them to it. Majid, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. So let me say, people are saying here that your cause may be just, but it's very difficult. That you don't have territory like they had in Libya, and that therefore it's very hard to arm you and to help you achieve your goal of getting rid of Assad. You're in need of what? Weapons? How difficult is your job right now?
شو طلباتكم؟ شو بدكم من أمريكا تساوي؟
Okay. First, we want to, from the American people, to understand our situation, really understand, to feel by our pains, you know.
Yes.
To feel our situation, you know. When you feel my situation, you know, you will do something, you know. First, we have.
I'm going to continue my interview with Majid in just a minute. Again, this interview happened yesterday. Majid risked his life to come here on the Inside Scoop and to tell his story. Rima, Fatima, and Nadia are all Syrian Americans who helped bring this story to me. I'm not giving out their real names because their lives are at risk. You need to know what's going on in Syria. Coming up at the end, we're going to talk about things the United States can do to help. If you want to call in, 888-4881.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact C. Fripp at AOL.com.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read. And may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems, and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and reading is
Inside Scoop with Mark Levine.
The Inside Scoop. I've been playing an interview that I conducted yesterday with a member of the Free Syrian Army. I talked to him from Syria. Now, I can't overemphasize how dangerous this was for him. Not for me. I simply listened in and interviewed him. But this man who has told me to call him Majid, that is not his real name, and we did not give his location inside Syria, describes in graphic detail exactly what is going on in Syria, along with 3 women who came to my radio station, 1480 AM We Act Radio, yesterday, to describe it on my radio show. Throughout the broadcast, I'm playing images from Syria. You have to understand that because journalists are not allowed into Syria, and because the journalists themselves, Western journalists included, are murdered if they go into Syria, these images are shaky, they're incomplete, and they're incomplete because the Syrian government wants them to be incomplete. The Syrian government does not want you to hear these stories. As I said, the person I'm talking to, Majid, risked his life, and I have a feeling he's not going to live very long. If you listen to his story, it seems like he's likely to be massacred. So this may be the last time he can speak. For that reason, I ask you to listen very carefully to the rest of my interview with Majid. And then I'll be playing some more interview with some other Syrians, these in America, who have been talking with people in Syria. It's important to know what's going on here. And then we'll talk about what the United States can do. Because I certainly do not want to advocate a frivolous use of the United States power. I do not support the war in Iraq, for example. But I don't believe we can stand idly by as the most powerful country in the world and allow the things that you've heard, the rapes, the massacres, throwing children off balconies, raping young children, and mass murder. I don't believe as human beings, if we have the power to stop it, we should allow it to keep going on. I asked Majid what we in the United States can do to help him, and here's what he told me.
You have to understand, we are not fighting just the Assad regime, This is, محور الشر فاطمة. محور الشر شو أمريكا سمته محور الشر.
عبد المجيد إذا بدك أبو أمجد إذا بدك تحكي عربي بترجم لك احكي عربي.
خبريه انه احنا عم نقاتل محور الشر اللي اعلنت عنه امريكا واوروبا وكل العالم الحر اللي هو متمثل بالقياده الايرانيه اللي تدعم الاسد.
Okay, someone needs to translate for my listeners, please.
Okay. The Syrians are not only fighting Assad himself, they are fighting much greater. It's not only the Assad regime, it's supported by the Iranians, and it's much stronger than just the Assad. Winning over the Assad is winning over Iran as well.
So Iran is arming Assad.
Yes, and Russia as well.
And Russia as well.
I saw by my own eye in Daraa 1 year ago some Iranian troops, fighting us in our streets, in our country, in our land. Iranian people. I'm one of people. We catch one sniper. He's Iranian, We catch his passport, We shooting all this, We shooting his passport, And we ask him, We brought that time, one translation for us, and we ask him, why you came here, Assad needn't for more troops, He have mercenary مرتزقة, mercenary maybe he have 1 million or 2 million. Why you came here, They came, because this is, Iranian and Al-Assad, they are still, in one side. They're fighting in one side. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in civilized, in democracy, They believe, like 1,000 years ago, they believe that people are slaves to them, One family controlled one country for 100 years, like kings before, just 1,000 years, this is before. Iran and Syrian regime, they believe like this, and Hezbollah, in Lebanon, Hezbollah, they help them also. We also saw some troops from Hezbollah. Snipers in Syria, more 60 or 70% from snipers in Syria are Iranian and from Hezbollah.
This is good information.
This is important. You're telling me 60 to 70% of the snipers are from either Iran or Hezbollah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sure, when snipers, want to walk on the street, They surround him by 100 from Syrian troops, We cannot even shooting, a photo. It's very hard for us that time, to shoot one Iranian or Hezbollah snipers, They had their special dresses, They put something on their hands, that you can organize. This is from Hezbollah or this is from Iran. To be clear to the Syrian army, this is a special guy, this is a professional sniper from Iran or from Hezbollah. They're fighting us from the first hour to the revolution, because they believe they are together. If Assad regime will fall, the Iranian strategy in the Middle East will fall with him. So they fight us very strongly, That's why they kill babies, women, they rape, they do everything to kill this revolution.
Now, your organization has reached out to the American government to ask for help?
استعنتوا بالحكومة الأمريكية، سألتوا مساعدات من الحكومة الأمريكية أنت والجروب تبعك؟ حاولتوا بسوريا؟
Actually, who will listen to me, Who will listen to me?
Not you, I mean your group.
I listen to you.
The board selected some people to talk with, They selected some people to talk with.
You probably can't
even... They are not talking with us, We are killed every day. No one knows, No one knows. This is our national council, the Syrian national council, These people, they are lived already outside from 30 or 40 years. They talk with the American government or other governments, but we didn't know actually what they talk about. There is no result.
So they don't represent you, the Syrian National Council?
No. The media office and the National Council is zero, We cannot know anything from them. We cannot make a communication with them. We are inside, we cannot talk with everybody, If we need a camera, by $200, we have to collect this dollars by dollars from us, from our babies, from our food.
The Arab countries, the Arab League has said that they are going to aid you. Did you know that? And have they helped you at all yet?
Sir, actually, they said something, and in the land there is something else, Okay, they talk like Saudi and Qatar.
Yeah, the Saudis
talk arming the Free Army. They talk from months to arming the Free Army. This is not true.
They're not arming you.
No one bullet entered to Syria. No one single bullet, entered to Syria. The Free Army fight with very simple, equipment like guns or rifles, which our soldiers, take with us when they leave the Assad army. No, this is something, sir. And on our facts, there is something else. They help the Syrian people which outside the borders, like they send them tuna and some foods, This is the help we get. They feed us to Assad to torture us again.
What do you need specifically?
They just feed us,
Right.
No one does something.
Right, in camps in Turkey. What do you need? You need bullets, you need guns, you need air support?
First we need the whole world to convince that we are right. Our revolution is right. First, people have to understand this revolution to democracy, to freedom, to our dignity. This is what we want. The people outside, discuss something, I don't know, from here, from there, but no one understands that we are killing just for our freedom and for our dignity, First, we need the whole world to understand this. Then they stand together against this regime. No one stand together. This is Russian and Chinese veto.
Right.
We think this is not just Russian and Chinese veto. This is global veto. Just not from Russia and Chinese, because if this is a veto from Russia and Chinese, the America and Europe can do something else, they can help us.
Well, that's true. There is NATO. There are things that can be done. Let me tell you this. I think that there are many people around the world and in the United States that hear your story and have tremendous sympathy for you and for the Syrian people. I am one of them. I certainly advocate for you. It's hard sometimes. America has fought in many wars, some just, some unjust, around the globe, and it's hard sometimes to get the American people to understand that yet one more country, people are suffering and dying, and it's horrible there. I'm trying very hard to persuade them, and that's why I'm bringing you on the show. But
if we believe in America democracy and freedom, they must not rule the world by different standards. By example, in Libya, 18 days they started to bomb the Gaddafi troops.
Right.
So how come Syria now?
They remove him in 1 month. They remove him, and Egypt, this is 80-90 million. This is a very important country in the Arab world.
I'll tell you what the government says.
They remove him.
The government says that because you don't in Libya, they liberated the eastern part first, Benghazi. They had territory, and with the territory, it was easier to arm the rebels. It's been very difficult, I know, for you to take any territory. I think you took there was a mountaintop, I don't mean you personally, but there was a mountaintop that was taken for a few days. You repelled the Syrian troops, and then they came back. I can't explain because I don't support the people in the government that don't want to help you, but I can tell you this. With the monitors failing, and with Assad shooting at the people who saw the monitors, the headlines in our local newspaper, the Washington Post, today talk about the fact that people recognize that the United Nations is failing to solve the problem. And I think that this show and people like you and people like Nadia and Fatima and Rima who are here in my studios are helping to persuade Americans that they need to call. I mean, in our country, if we call our members of Congress, if we call the President of the United States, we can do that, and they should respond. And it takes enough Americans to make phone calls. That's really all we have to do to help you save lives.
But please, if you send one message from me, from here, we know America through TV.
Right.
This is actually, we know America just through TV,
Right.
And we watch, and we were, embracing. We were, shocking by this life. We dream by the American life.
Right.
So don't disappoint us. We watch the American people, how they think, how they help the other people, how they're fighting for freedom, how they're fighting for human rights. We want them to fight for our lives, before our rights. We respect the American people. We like to make a bridge between Damascus and Washington D.C. The Syrian regime for 40 years not allowed us to contact any American. In Syria, if you contact any American now, before the revolution, if you were my friend, they will take me to the intelligence offices and they will torture me. How you know this guy and why you know him? You are Khan.
Betrayer. You're betrayer. Yeah.
I'm a trader. If you be my friend, I'll be a trader. And they will hang me just because I know some American. That's the life we lived in Syria. So I want to just this message that delivered from us to the American people. We love the American life. This is the free land and the land of freedom. Of graves. This is the America. This is what America in our minds, in our dreams. So we pleased him to help our babies. If some senators, just before sleep, just look in his baby's eyes, and imagine our babies how they sleep in fear. I swear to you, so many times, my babies do something at night from afraid. They're so afraid. If you knock my door, my babies will cry from fear. They think some troops came to us.
Right. Listen, you are fighting a very good fight. I support you. I will do my best to support you. I want to thank you for risking your life, for coming here on the Inside Scoop, for sharing your story. And it's my hope that everyone listening to my voice right now, listening to your voice, everyone listening to We Act Radio 1480 AM, everyone who's hearing this on the Internet, will call your member of Congress. It's easy to do. Just pick up the phone, dial 202-224-3121, and that will get you to the White House, to the Capitol switchboard. Ask for your member of Congress and tell them that you want the president, that you want American arms to go to the Free Syrian Army, that you want to help with a no-fly zone, that we should help save people so they're not massacred again. Majid, I can't thank you enough. Be brave, be safe, please protect yourself, and I will do what I can do on my end to help you in your cause. Thank you again.
Thanks for what you said. Thanks for you.
I appreciate that. So that was my promise to Majid. You heard it. Promise to bring his story to you. Majid risked his life to tell his story, just as you've seen the images of people who've risked their life to take those stories. You've seen the images of the dead bodies, one right after the other, the blood in the streets, the shelling, there's a group of dead bodies. And I'm playing these images so that you get an idea, because this is actually a rare case where it's citizen journalists that are doing this. It's citizens who are bringing us the story. It is people in Syria, brave people who are risking their lives. The mainstream media doesn't go into Syria because they're not allowed in, and when the mainstream media sends reporters in, they are massacred, as Anthony Shadid was of CNN. So CNN can't go there, and Fox and MSNBC, none of them can go there. But if we say that because journalists are not allowed inside a war zone, that it's not news. If we say that if we don't witness the massacres, then they're no big deal, then what we do is we encourage ruthless, evil dictators like Bashar Assad to keep you from knowing. It's a very cynical move. They say, we won't let you know what's going on, and therefore you won't care, and therefore you won't do anything about it. So people like Majid is risking his life, and 3 women came into my studio yesterday at We Act Radio, and one of the nice things about radio is that I don't show their images. I would invite them here on this show, but they're afraid. They're afraid to show their faces on television for understandable reasons. You heard what Majid said. He said, merely talking to an American gets you tortured in Syria. I want to repeat that. Just talking to an American, simply speaking with an American, leads to torture in Syria. He also said some interesting news that I hadn't heard in the mainstream press. He said that he has personally captured Iranian soldiers. We've known for a long time the Iranian government was aiding the Syrian government with weapons. But he says there are Iranian troops on the ground who are shooting and killing and participating in the massacres. Apparently the Syrian government does not have enough loyal troops who want to shoot Syrians dead, so they're borrowing some from Iran. He also said, I thought this was also very interesting, that he thought that about 60% of the people doing the killing were from Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a terrorist group. It has taken over the once peaceful, once wonderful state of Lebanon, a state where it used to be that Christian, Sunni, and Shia Muslims all lived together in peace. In fact, only 5 years ago, the Lebanese kicked out the Syrian army. But Hezbollah, the Iranian army, the Iranian terrorist group, moved in and has taken over that once peaceful country. They have certainly rained missiles into Israel, but they have also tortured and mistreated the Lebanese people. Now we know that Hezbollah is killing the Syrians as well. You know, America very much supported going out and killing Osama bin Laden for good reason. Osama bin Laden his actions led to the massacre of 3,000 innocent Americans on September 11th, 2001. But now we have another terrorist group. The State Department has designated a terrorist group, and they're killing innocent people in Syria. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, how can we be the world's policeman everywhere? Didn't the Iraq War cost $1 trillion? And it did. And I did not support the Iraq War, because the people in Iraq were not rising up to overthrow their dictator. The people in Iraq were not being massacred. But when it happened in Libya, I came on air and said, this isn't about oil. This is about saving people's lives. I said the same thing in Kosovo, an area of the former Yugoslavia that certainly has no oil. It's not about realpolitik. The United States, if we are to mean anything at all in our foreign policy, it shouldn't be about helping some corporation make a lot of money. It should be a beacon to the world. And when the United States can help for relatively little cost, frankly, I think it would cost not a single American life, and relatively little American money. In fact, we could probably get most of it from Saudi Arabia, which also supports the people who are trying to overthrow their dictator. Now, I realize Saudi Arabia has its own problems, but in this case, they are willing to financially support the rebels. It's just a matter of getting in there and doing the infrastructure and saving lives. And isn't it time we're on the right side of history? I want to play for you a little bit more of my interview. Majid, I didn't want to spend too much time on the line with him. Frankly, I feared for his safety. But I did talk a little bit longer with the three women in my studio, with Nadia, Fatima, and Rima. I will not give their last names, because they also have heard stories from their families, from their friends in Syria, and I want to play some more of my interview with them.
All right, I've got three women in my studio. We've been waiting because I wanted to take that very important call from Syria first. But sitting here, and I'm actually not giving their full names either because I want to do my best to protect everyone. But we have Nadia and Fatima and Rima here, and Nadia's doing the translation because her English is best. Tell me, Nadia, what else you wanted to say. I interrupted you to get to Majid, but please go ahead.
That's okay. Thank you very much for having us today.
Sure.
And I'm so glad that you were able to talk to someone from Syria. It's to hear their voices and hear their opinions. I needed to mention something about that Senator McCain and Lieberman, even though I am a Democrat and I voted for Mr. Obama, President Obama, God bless him, but I just want to say they made a visit to Turkey and they checked the camps, the Syrian camps in Turkey, and they did suggest something to the Americans, but the president refused that idea, which was to have hit a certain point in Syria, important places and spots in Syria, and that's all what we needed. We don't want you to bomb Syria. Just bomb those important points to
where the government
the military base. That's all what we need. Why is it so difficult for United States to do that?
I don't think it's difficult for us militarily. I think it's difficult for us politically. I think there are Americans who don't know military well, who could not tell you where Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or Libya or Egypt are on a map. And because, frankly, George W. Bush, I think, did a very stupid thing in invading Iraq, I think a lot of Americans on the left and the right are very squeamish about American military action. I agree with you. I think that when people are being massacred and we don't have to invade a country, we can simply help the people defend themselves, that we should do so. That's why I supported our intervention in Libya along with England and France. And if Russia and China don't support it, then they don't support it. We don't need their help. We just need them to get out of the way. That's my view, but as you know, that's not right now the majority view in a country that's focused on the economy and the elections and everything else.
Another thing I need to clarify, not to scare the Americans about this idea, they thinking that the Muslims are going to take over.
There is that fear.
Yeah.
Particularly because in Egypt, the Islamic Brotherhood has...
I need to tell you something.
Yes.
The Muslim Brotherhood in 2005 is totally different than the Muslim Brotherhood in 2012. Why they're different? They learn from their mistakes. They're more organized, more powerful, and more flexible. They're not as what you think, the Sharia law that we are afraid of. Look, Libya right now, Yemen, Egypt, and Tunisia. Most of when the votes, the democracy, they got rid of their old regime. What happened? The Muslim Brotherhood won, right? Because this is a free country
right.
now.
In Egypt.
Okay. Do we see any Sharia law happen so far?
Well, not yet. We don't know. There's a presidential election coming up next month. Let me say something I found very interesting. Very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that was when Majid said that Hezbollah was forming the snipers. And the reason I find this is so interesting is I knew Iran was aiding Syria. That's pretty common knowledge. People know that. But Hezbollah is interesting because they're an Iranian-funded terrorist group. They control the country of Lebanon, and yet they tend to be very closely connected with the Muslim Brotherhood. And yet you find in this case, they're attacking the Syrian people. So if Hezbollah is attacking the Syrian people, that suggests to me that the Free Syrian Army, which is fighting Hezbollah, that if we help them, they are not going to be friends of Hezbollah. They're not going to be friends of the Muslim Brotherhood.
I assure you of that. There will be a new democratic generation in Syria. We are going to be building the American dream in the Middle East if we support the Syrian revolution right now. We're making a big mistake by just standing on the side and just watching them in a cold blood, getting killed every day, all these Syrian children and all these women getting raped, and we're not doing anything about it.
Now, you know, Nadia, the Obama administration, on the surface, says things very positive about Assad's regime is terrible and has to go and everything.
But we need actions.
But that's right. That they leak to the press, these are the things they say privately that they don't give a name to, is they're concerned that they don't quite know who the Syrian resistance is. They're afraid that the Syrian resistance might be not so good. And so my hope is by bringing people like you, people like Majid on the air, is to show the good faith of the Syrian resistance.
I mean, tell the Americans how do I look like? I cover my hair.
Yes.
And I am a Syrian American.
Yes.
And here I am speaking freely.
Yes.
And I am just one of those million of Syrian women that they just like me. I want to assure the American people, the new government that is going to come up if this revolution win is going to be democratic. I am assuring you of that. It's going to be much, much better. This Assad regime for the last 45 years isolated Syria totally from the rest of the world. All what they were doing is brainwashing these people against their neighbors and against everybody else's. They didn't want them to be educated. They didn't want them. They have now a lot of people. This new generation we have. Why the Arabic Spring is blowing and blooming in Syria? Because 60 to 70% are 20 to 40 years old. This is amazing. They all into internet and Facebook. And that's why the idea of they watch America, how free it is. They believe in those beliefs that we believe in United States. And we don't want to kill that dream. Why we want to kill that dream? We want that dream to come up because more peaceful things better things are going to happen. I assure you, the future for our children and grandchildren in Syria are going to affect the surrounding area as well. So if we let that revolution win, everybody else will benefit from it, not only Syria or the Syrian people themselves.
So people listening right now to the radio, what can some American who's driving in his car?
Well, you've heard it. That is from the people in Syria. They're asking for our help, and I think we can give it to them. This is Mark Levine of the Inside Scoop signing off. If you want to comment on my website, it's marklevinetalk.com.